Mom, Xiaobao will be 1 month old next week. Do you and Dad want to come to the full-month banquet? On the other end of the phone, daughter-in-law Olivia's voice was filled with joy. Of course I have to go. How can I miss such an important day? By the way, I'll transfer some money to you and you can prepare it. I replied with a smile. No need, Mom, we can handle it ourselves. After hanging up the phone, I decided to transfer some money to express my gratitude. Enter the amount 88888 and click confirm. Unexpectedly, a few hours later, I received a 3-word reply from my daughter-in-law, which made me hastily freeze my bank card. My savings of many years may have gone down the drain. My name is Maeve. I am 62 years old and a retired primary school teacher. Husband Callum and I live in the county town, while my son Enzo and daughter-in-law Olivia work and live in the provincial capital. At the end of last year, our long-awaited grandson was finally born. When we received the call from our son that day, my husband and I were so excited that our hands were shaking. Mom, it's a boy, weighing 15.8 kgs. Both mother and child are safe. The son's voice was filled with unconcealable joy. My husband asked anxiously, who does the child look like? The eyes are like Olivia, and everything else is mine. The son said proudly. We immediately bought train tickets and arrived in the provincial capital the next day. Outside the hospital's nursery, through the glass window, I saw my little grandson for the first time. That wrinkled little face, the closed eyes, and the little fists waving from time to time made me feel an indescribable emotion in my heart. My husband was wiping his tears and muttering, "This child's nose looks like mine." In the days that followed, we helped take care of her in the provincial capital for 2 weeks. Only after we watched Olivia finish her confinement did we reluctantly return to the county town. Time flies so fast, and in the blink of an eye the little one is about to be 1 month old. According to the custom here, a child's full-month celebration is celebrated with great fanfare, and all relatives and friends are invited to join in the fun. Although young people nowadays don't care much about these things, as an elder, I still hope that my grandson's full moon celebration can be lively and festive. I wouldn't say my relationship with my son and daughter-in-law is particularly close, but it's harmonious. My son Enzo stayed in the provincial capital and worked in a foreign trade company. He was very busy and only called me 2 or 3 times a month. 3 years ago, he fell in love with his colleague Olivia and got married. Olivia is a native of the provincial capital and has a lively and cheerful personality, but she doesn't know much about some of our rural traditional customs. First, I was a little worried that the city girls would look down on us country people, but Olivia respected us very much. Every time we went to the provincial capital, she would prepare meals carefully. Although they don't contact each other much during normal times, they will come back to visit during the holidays. Olivia is a city dweller. She is not arrogant at all. Every time she comes to the county town, she helps me clean and accompanies me to the vegetable market. She always said, "Mom, you have been a teacher all your life. Now it's time to enjoy your retirement." The son has good work ability, but the couple's financial situation can only be said to be just enough to make ends meet. Husband and I paid half of the down payment. I have to pay the mortgage every month, plus the daily expenses, so I am really not well off. Now that we have another child, the expenses are even greater. My husband and I have a combined monthly pension of over 7,000 yuan. We don't spend much on a daily basis, and we have saved some money over the years. We have always lived frugally just to help our son. My husband often says, "At our age, why do we need so much money? Let's leave it all to our children." I totally agree. After all, no matter how much money you have, it is just a material thing. Our greatest wish is to see our children live well. When we learned that our grandson was about to turn 1 month old, my husband and I discussed how much money we should give him. A week before the full moon, Olivia called and said she wanted to set up a few tables at home and invite relatives and friends to celebrate the baby's full moon. "Mom, you and Dad can come over a day in advance and help us with the arrangements," Olivia said on the phone. She sounded a little tired. "It must be hard to take care of the child." "Okay, we also want to see the little guy earlier." I agreed happily. Olivia added, "I'm going to set up 8 tables at home. Is that okay with you? I don't want it to be too extravagant, but it can't be too simple either. 8 tables is just right, not more, not less." I agreed. I could hear the baby crying on the phone. Olivia hurriedly said, "The child is awake," and hung up. After hanging up the phone, I discussed it with my husband. In the living room, the old TV was playing the evening news with the volume turned down low. Outside the window, the neighbor's dog occasionally barked, breaking the tranquility of the night. How much do you think we should give? I asked my husband. My husband put down the newspaper, took off his reading glasses, and thought for a moment. Let's give it a round number. 88,888. For good luck. That's too much. I was shocked. Our pension isn't that high. We've only saved over 200,000 yuan in all these years. My husband smiled and said, money is dead, but people are alive. We don't want anything. We just want to have fun and be happy. I frowned. But this is too much. Right. Usually we only give them a few $1,000s for their birthdays. It's only once that the baby is 1 month old. And we old couple don't spend any money on weekdays, so this will reduce some of the burden on them. My husband insisted. He is always like this, looking serious but actually very soft-hearted, especially towards his son and grandson. I was still hesitating. How about 50,000? It's also a round number. That's unlucky. My husband shook his head. 88 fortune. How good. I thought about it. And indeed, it costs a lot to hold a full-month banquet in the provincial capital, including banquets, gifts, photography, etc. A table of banquet costs at least 2,000 to 3,000 yuan, and 8 tables cost more than 20,000 yuan. Add baby supplies, souvenirs and so on, and 50,000 yuan is about the same. If we give them more than 80,000, it can indeed help them relieve a lot of financial pressure. After some discussion, we decided to transfer 88,888 yuan, which means good luck, good fortune. Good luck and is also our heartfelt token. This figure is almost the annual income of an average family in our county. This is a considerable amount of money. It is our life savings for most of our lives. But I feel relieved when I think that it can help my son reduce his burden. My husband patted my shoulder and said, don't worry, the money is for our sons. We can't just watch them suffer. My husband said, we don't have much to strive for in this life, so it's better to save the money for the children. What he said makes sense. We are old and don't have any big expenses except for daily expenses. Instead of waiting to leave it to our sons 100 years later, it is better to give it to them now when they need it. I smiled and nodded. You can't leave anyway. It doesn't matter whether you give it to me sooner or later. Now that the decision has been made, I feel a lot more relieved. But when it comes to transferring money, I am still a little hesitant. More than 80,000 is not a small amount. That is the result of so many years of hard work by my husband and I. I remember that we lived frugally for several years in order to buy this house. When we first retired, we thought about moving to a bigger house, but considering that our son might need to buy a house and get married, we saved all our money. But thinking about how Olivia has been busy taking care of the child recently, and how much trouble she has put in holding a full-month banquet, she felt relieved that this money could ease their stress. Besides, seeing that our children are living well, we as parents will feel at ease. The night before I was about to transfer the money, my husband and I sat in the living room, looking through our son's childhood photo albums. It was an old-fashioned photo album, and its light blue cover had turned a little yellow. The photos inside were all developed from film, and some have turned yellow and faded. I carefully opened the first page of the album, and a photo of a baby came into view. It was 1990. The scene of our baby's full-month birthday. The baby in the photo is wrapped in a thick quilt, with only a little face showing. That time, the conditions at home were difficult, so I only cooked a few simple dishes and invited a few neighbors to my house for a meal. There were no big hotels at that time, and full-month banquets were held at home. I remember making braised pork, steamed fish and some home-cooked stir-fries that day. A large pot of eggs was cooked on the stove. After they were cooked, they were dyed red and distributed to relatives and friends who came to congratulate them. In the photo, the young me is holding my infant son, with an unconcealable look of fatigue and happiness on my face. You were only 28 years old at that time. My husband sighed. More than 30 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Yes, in the blink of an eye we have become grandparents. I sighed softly. My husband pointed to an old man in the photo and said, "That's your dad. He was still alive at the time. How happy you were." I nodded, with a trace of longing in my heart. That year, my father came all the way from the countryside and brought his grandson chickens and ducks that he grew himself. Now my father has passed away for many years, and will never be able to see the joy of his great-grandson's birth. That time, you were in confinement and only ate eggs for half a month, my husband recalled. I smiled and said, that time, we didn't have enough money to eat chicken every day. We were lucky to have eggs. I nodded. It's different now. Olivia is in confinement, with a nutritionist providing guidance and a confinement nanny taking care of her all day. Life is much better. I remembered the red envelope my mother-in-law gave me, which contained 50 yuan. In that era, 50 yuan was already a considerable sum of money. That's half a month's salary for me. My monthly salary is only over 100 yuan, and the 50 yuan given by my mother-in-law touched me for a long time. Nowadays, prices have increased more than 10 times, but the rules of interpersonal relationships have also become more complicated. Times have changed, and we must keep pace with the times, said my husband with emotion. His eyes were full of nostalgia for the past and expectations for the future. Yes, I hope my grandson's life will be better and better in the future. I agreed. I continued to flip through the photo album, and pages of the past appeared before my eyes. This is a photo of my son when he was in kindergarten. He was wearing a small vest and smiling with 2 rows of little baby teeth showing. A photo of me when I was in elementary school, wearing a red scarf and standing under the national flag with a serious face. In the photo from middle school, I had grown taller and started to show the heroic spirit of a teenager. Looking at the photos of my son growing from a hungry baby, to a toddler, and then to a teenager in school uniform, I can't help but sigh that time flies. Behind every photo is a story and a memory. In the blink of an eye, he has become a father of a child. Husband and I have also grown from young parents to grandparents with gray hair. This is how life is, passed down from generation to generation, endlessly. Do you still remember the first school bag we bought for our son by saving money when he went to school? I asked my husband. When my son was in the first grade, we went to the best stationery store in the county to buy it. I remember. It was a red one. He couldn't let it go and would hold it even when he slept. My husband recalled with a smile. That school bag cost us 25 yuan, which was almost a week's food expenses at that time. But seeing my son happy makes it all worth it. That time, in order to give our son a better education, we lived frugally and spent all our savings on his studies. I enrolled him in various tutoring classes and bought him the best study materials, for fear that he would lose at the starting line. Now, we are still willing to give everything we have so that our grandson can have a better environment to grow up in. This is probably the inheritance of Chinese families. Generation after generation, they always give the best to the next generation. My husband closed the photo album and said softly, "It's getting late. We still have to transfer money tomorrow. Go to bed early." I nodded, but my heart was still thinking about every detail of my son's childhood. Those laughter and tears have become the most precious treasures in my life. The next morning, I decided to transfer the money to Olivia. After breakfast, my husband and I started to study how to perform large transfers. My husband instructed me, open the mobile banking app and choose transfer. Although he was an engineer before retirement, he is much more familiar with electronic equipment than I am. Although I taught in school before retirement, I was not very familiar with these electronic devices. Schools still use chalk and blackboards. Unlike today when children use tablets in class, I usually use WeChat Pay to pay for groceries, but this is the first time I've made a large transfer like this. Do you remember the password? My husband asked me. Remember, it's our wedding anniversary. I nodded. When I opened the mobile banking app, the interface was so complicated that it made me dizzy. Choose the pay first. My husband continued. I looked through my address book and found Olivia's name. I clicked in and found that her account information had been saved in my list of common contacts. This saved me a lot of effort and I didn't have to ask her for her bank card number. When entering the amount, I pressed the numbers one by one. 88888. Looking at this number, I feel a little nervous, but more excited. I look forward to seeing their surprise and excitement after receiving the money. Are you sure it's correct? I confirmed again. My husband came over to take a look and said, yes, 88,888. He wore reading glasses and carefully checked the amount. Please check again to see if the recipient is Olivia. I was a little nervous. My husband looked at the screen and said, it's her. Don't be nervous. After clicking confirm, the phone will ask you to enter your payment password. My hands were shaking and I entered the wrong answer twice in a row. Don't be nervous. Take it slow. My husband comforted me. He helped me hold the phone steady so I could enter the password more accurately. The third time, I carefully entered the 6-digit password and finally succeeded. The system prompts that the transfer is being processed. These few seconds of waiting seemed to last a lifetime. After a few seconds, the phone beeped and the transfer was successful. I breathed a sigh of relief and felt like I had accomplished a major task. Looking at the successful transfer notification on my phone, I felt relieved but also a little reluctant. After all, this is the money we have worked hard to save for most of our lives. But when he thought that the money was for his son, daughter-in-law and grandchildren, he felt much more at ease. I sent a message to Olivia. The money has been transferred. It's a full-month gift for the baby. You guys can arrange it. After sending the message, I put my phone aside and breathed a sigh of relief. My husband patted my shoulder and said, "Okay, it's done." He laughed and teased me. "I think you are more nervous than when my son got married." I smiled and said, "Of course, this is the only time my grandson is 1 month old. I remember when my son got married, we gave him 200,000 yuan as a betrothal gift and a down payment. We were quite conflicted at that time, but the money has been spent. Seeing my son get married and start a family makes me happier than anything else." After completing the transfer, my husband and I started packing our luggage for the provincial capital. I bought new clothes for my grandson and prepared some nourishing products for Olivia to take care of her health. My husband even took out a gold lock from the cabinet. It was passed down from his grandfather, and he said he wanted to hang it around his grandson's neck with his own hands. It was an antique golden lock with the words happiness, longevity and health engraved on it. "This is a family heirloom. We have to give it to our grandson." My husband wiped the gold lock carefully. We planned to take a bus to the provincial capital early the next morning, and we were full of anticipation. I can't wait to see if my grandson has gained weight in the past month, if he can smile, and if he can recognize people. My husband said, "I heard that babies who are 1 month old can already smile at people." I nodded. Yes, my son started to smile when he was 1 month old. He had 2 dimples when he smiled. He was so cute. After packing my luggage, I went to the supermarket to buy some baby supplies to bring to my grandson. Diapers, wet wipes, talcum powder, and baby toiletries filled up the shopping cart. The cashier smiled and asked, "Is this for your grandson?" I smiled and nodded. "Yes, it's just 1 month old. Congratulations. You're a grandmother now," the cashier said enthusiastically. This moment, my heart is filled with pride and happiness. Maybe she was taking care of the children and didn't see the message. My husband comforted me. I nodded. Young people are busy, unlike us who are idle all day long. I went back home and continued packing, putting the things I needed to take into the suitcase one by one. At noon, I called my son and wanted to mention the transfer. The phone rang for a long time before it was connected, and the sound of a baby crying was heard in the background. "Dad, is something wrong?" Xiaobao just fell asleep and woke up again. The son's voice sounded tired. "It's nothing serious. I just wanted to ask how you guys are preparing. Your mom and I will be there tomorrow. Everything is ready. We're just waiting for you," the son said hurriedly and hung up the phone. I didn't have time to mention the transfer, but I thought the money had already arrived in Olivia's account, and she would naturally reply when she saw it. In the afternoon, I went to the supermarket and bought some baby supplies to bring to my grandson. On the way home, I couldn't help but check my phone again, but there was still no reply from Olivia. My husband worriedly. My husband shook his head. "No, Olivia is not that kind of person. Besides, nearly 90,000 yuan is not a small amount." I comforted myself that maybe they were really too busy to reply. After dinner, my husband and I were sitting on the sofa watching TV when my cell phone suddenly rang. I quickly picked it up and saw that it was a message from Olivia. When I opened WeChat, those 3 short words came into view. I was struck by lightning and almost dropped my phone. Olivia only replied with 3 words, "No money." I was stunned and didn't know how to understand these 3 words. Do they think the money is too little? Do they think we are meddling in their affairs? Or do they really have enough money? Just as I was wondering, I received another message from Olivia. "It's a scammer. Mom, has your account been stolen?" My heart suddenly rose to my throat. "What's wrong?" my husband asked hurriedly when he saw that I looked unhappy. I handed him the phone. Olivia said it was a scammer and my account might have been stolen. My husband's face changed drastically. "What? Call and confirm." I immediately called Olivia. As soon as the call was connected, Olivia asked anxiously, "Mom, did you transfer money to me just now?" "Yes, 88,888. Didn't you receive it?" I asked nervously. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a few seconds, and then Olivia's trembling voice came. "Mom, I didn't receive your transfer, and I didn't mean to ask you to transfer money. Who did you transfer it to?" My hand started to tremble and I quickly looked through the transfer records. That moment, my heart almost stopped beating. The recipient displayed on the screen was not Olivia, but an unfamiliar name, Mei Xiaoping. My mind went blank in an instant and cold sweat ran down my back. No, I clearly transferred it to Olivia. How could it be Mei Xiaoping? I shouted into the phone in panic. "Mom, you've been cheated. That's not me. Go to the bank and freeze your account," Olivia said anxiously on the other end of the phone. When I heard Olivia's words, I felt very uncomfortable and my hands and feet were cold. My husband saw that I looked pale and asked me what happened. I told him the situation tremblingly, and he immediately grabbed his phone and called the bank's customer service number. "Hello, we need to urgently freeze a bank card as it may have been a scam," my husband said very quickly. The customer service asked for the card number and cardholder information, and then informed me that I needed to go to a bank branch in person to go through the freezing procedures. It's already past 7 in the evening and the bank has closed. I stamped my feet in anxiety. "You can first report the loss through the mobile banking app, and then go to the branch to complete the relevant procedures tomorrow," the customer service suggested. I quickly followed the customer service's instructions, found the report loss function, and completed the operation. Then I called my son and told him what had happened in detail. After hearing this, the son's voice changed. "Mom and Dad, don't worry. I will go to the police station to report the case now." After hanging up the phone, I slumped on the sofa, unable to utter a word. My husband held my hand and said with self-blame in his tone, "It's all my fault. I had to transfer so much money." "It's not your fault. It was my fault for not checking the payee carefully," I said, shaking my head. "But my heart is bleeding, because that is our pension money. Almost 90,000 yuan is gone in an instant. What should we do in the future?" My husband took out his cell phone and looked through his previous chat history with Olivia. Suddenly, he pointed to a message and said, "Look, a few days ago, someone pretended to be Olivia and sent you a message, asking how you were doing, but the tone didn't sound like her." Then I remembered that this was indeed the case. That time, I wondered why Olivia suddenly cared about me, but I didn't think much about it. The scammers may have started planning at that time. My husband analyzed. "The more I think about it, the more scared I become. These scammers are so terrible that they can even take advantage of family relationships." Husband and I barely slept at night. The next morning, we rushed to the nearest bank branch and explained the situation in detail. Bank staff told us that since the transfer had been completed, the other party may have already taken or transferred the money, and the possibility of recovering it was very small. "But we will cooperate with the public security organs in the investigation and try our best to help you recover your funds," the staff member comforted. After leaving the bank, my husband and I went to the police station again and cooperated with the police to take a statement. The police looked at our chat records and transfer receipts and said this was a typical telecommunications fraud. Recently, there have been many such cases, where scammers pretend to be relatives and take advantage of the elderly's lack of familiarity with the internet to commit fraud. We were told that once the case was filed, a special anti-fraud center would handle it, but we were also prepared for the worst. After leaving the police station, my husband and I sat in silence. The booked train ticket to the provincial capital was also delayed because of this incident. I called my son and explained the situation to him, saying that he might be a day or two late. My son comforted us on the phone. "Mom and Dad, money is not the most important thing. Your safety is the most important thing. Don't worry too much." His words comforted me a little, but when I thought about the more than 80,000 yuan, my heart still ached. Through police investigation, we finally found out the whole scam process. It turned out that the scammer had obtained my personal information and family relationships through some means. Then she pretended to be Olivia and started a tentative chat with us on WeChat to learn about our relationship and recent situation. After learning that my grandson was about to turn 1 month old, the scammer seized the opportunity and cleverly led me to take the initiative to request a money transfer. To make the scam more realistic, The scammer even registered an account with a name similar to Olivia's. The scammer's methods are becoming more and more sophisticated. They will study the chatting habits and tone between relatives, making it difficult for people to detect, explained the police. Police said there was little chance of recovering the funds as they had been transferred multiple times. This news came as a bolt from the blue to my husband and me. Although I was mentally prepared, it was still hard to accept the result when I actually faced it. That was our savings of several decades, and it was gone just like that. When I got home, I sat on the sofa and tears flowed uncontrollably. My husband sat next to me and sighed. You can save money again if you lose it. Don't be too sad. But I know that at our age, it is almost impossible to save that much money. What makes me even more sad is that we wanted to give our grandson a good start. But because of our own negligence, we gave the scammers an opportunity to take advantage of us. My son kept comforting us on the phone, saying that money was not a problem. The important thing was not to let it affect our mood, but I could sense that there was also loss and self-blame in his tone. Olivia felt even more guilty. She thought that if she had discussed the full moon banquet with us earlier, such a tragedy would not have happened. Mom, it's all my fault that I don't contact you often, which gave the scammers an opportunity to take advantage of me, Olivia said with a sob. I comforted her and told her not to blame herself. It was my own negligence and she couldn't blame others. Despite this, I still can't let it go. The money was originally intended for the grandson's full-month gift, but now it has been given to the scammers. Thinking of this, I feel even more regretful. 3 days later, we went to the provincial capital as planned to attend our grandson's full moon banquet. Although we felt heavy-hearted, we decided to put this matter aside for the time being in order not to affect our family's joy. When we arrived at her son's house, Olivia was busy in the kitchen. When she saw us, she immediately put down her work and ran over to greet us. Mom and Dad, you're here. Her eyes were still a little red. Obviously she had been crying. I patted her shoulder and said, don't be sad. It has already happened. Just look forward to it. The son came out of the room, holding the little one in his arms. I quickly took my grandson in. The little guy had become much fatter than when he was just born. He was white and plump, like a small steamed bun. He looked at me with his big eyes like black grapes, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. He was so cute. Seeing my grandson's smiling face, the haze in my heart dissipated a lot. My husband took out the prepared gold lock from his bag and hung it around his grandson's neck with his own hands. This was passed down from my grandfather. May the little one be safe and healthy. My husband's voice was a little choked. The full moon banquet was very simple. We just set up a few tables at home and invited relatives and close friends from both sides. During the dinner, everyone was immersed in joy, and no one mentioned the unpleasant incident. Olivia's parents found out about this. They kept comforting us, saying that young people will have a bright future and we shouldn't worry about money. Seeing everyone so happy, I secretly felt lucky that the money did not affect the harmony of my family. After dinner, Olivia took me to the balcony and handed me an envelope. Mom, this is a little gift from Enzo and I. Please accept it. I opened it and saw a thick stack of cash inside. What is this for? I don't want it. I quickly declined. Olivia's eyes were red again. Mom, it's all my fault. If I had discussed the full moon wine with you earlier, you wouldn't have been deceived. I stuffed the envelope back into her hands and said, silly child, this is not your fault. It was my own carelessness. Besides, you are still young, so keep the money for yourself. Olivia wiped her tears and said, then you and Dad shouldn't take it too seriously. Money can be earned again. The most important thing is that the family is harmonious and happy. Hearing this, my heart warmed and I felt that this daughter-in-law was really sensible. When I returned to the living room, I found my son telling the guests about interesting stories about his children. Looking at the happy smile on his face, I suddenly felt that although I lost a sum of money, it was worth it to see my son have a happy family. On the third day after the full moon banquet, my son suddenly took out a passbook and gave it to me. Mom, this is the education fund account that Olivia and I opened for Xiaobao. There is 100,000 yuan in it. It's our full-month gift to him. I took the passbook and looked at the balance, and it was indeed 100,000. Where do you get so much money? I asked in surprise. The son smiled and said, this is the savings that Olivia and I have accumulated over the past few years. We were planning to buy a new car with it, but now we'll give it to the child first. I know their intention. which is to make up for my loss of more than 80,000 yuan. I was very touched, but I still returned the passbook to him. Keep it for the child. Your father and I don't need that little money. The son insisted. Mom, please accept it. This is not just about the money. It is also our token of appreciation. Looking at my son's determined eyes, I didn't refuse again, but I secretly decided in my heart that I must help them raise the children and reduce their burden. On the day I left, Olivia specially prepared a table of my favorite dishes. At the dinner table, we no longer mentioned the scam, but instead talked about our grandson's growth and future plans. My husband suggested that we go to the provincial capital to help take care of our grandson when he is older, so that we can have more time to develop our careers. Olivia said happily, "That's great. Xiaobao likes grandpa and grandma the most." The son also smiled and said, "Yes, with our parents helping us, we feel more at ease." Looking at the happy family, the haze in my heart completely dissipated. Money is something outside of one's body. The health and happiness of one's family are the most important. On the train back to the county town, my husband and I sat side by side, watching the scenery passing by outside the window. Think about it more positively. You can save money again if you lose it. A harmonious family brings prosperity, my husband said, holding my hand. I nodded and smiled. Yes, we still have a son, daughter-in-law and lovely grandchildren, which is more important than anything else. However, this experience also taught me a lesson. I decided to learn more about anti-fraud knowledge and improve my awareness of prevention in the future. You should also communicate more with your husband and discuss important decisions with him/her to avoid acting impulsively. The most important thing is to maintain open communication with your family and not give scammers any opportunity to take advantage. Money can be saved, but the trust and affection of family are priceless. Although this lesson was costly, it made me appreciate everything I have now even more. After returning to the county town, I shared this experience with several old sisters and warned them not to be fooled. They all said they would take this as a warning and tell their family and friends to be more vigilant. A month later, the police station called and said that through a nationwide network crackdown, a fraud gang was captured, which might include the people who defrauded me. Although the money cannot be recovered, I feel much more at ease knowing that the criminal has been punished by law. Life goes on. My husband and I have planned to go to the provincial capital again in a few months to see our little grandson. After all, the most precious things in life are not the money you have lost, but the loved ones who are still around you and those happy moments that cannot be measured by money. Whenever I think of that experience, I no longer feel only regret and heartache, but more of a deeper understanding of life and a deeper appreciation for my family. There are bound to be bumps and potholes on the road of life. What's important is how to cross them and keep moving forward.